Alright, so for the first clip, we got started off with two of the best in the game in Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart, and this is about as good as it gets when it comes to the pick and roll. First thing we want to note is that majority of the time, we want to set up the screen patiently. We're not exactly looking for a sneak attack against the defense, and typically when you rush the ball screen anyway, you either won't get a great screen or you might even set your teammate up to get an offensive foul. So you see a solid screen being set by Stewie here. Sue Bird does a great job coming off tight, rubbing that initial defender so that she gets stuck behind. Now we see she's in a position where that second defender has to help, and she's essentially being guarded by two defenders here, which, again, we do the basic math, means someone else is going to be wide open. And in this case, it's Breanna Stewart attacking this lane for the roll to the basket. And as a screener, it's important that once you're done setting that screen, you go attack straight line to the basket on that roll, and then Sue Bird does a nice job with a leading pass, wasting no time for the easy layup. This next clip is a really good display of patience and how easy you can make it look when you read the defense well and use the screen well. So we watch Lainey, the ball handler, set up and come off this screen. She's in no rush at all, just reading the defense and using the screen well. And again, she comes off the screen tight, gets that first defender caught and stuck behind her, and we see again a position where the ball handler is now taking two defenders to guard her, which means someone else is wide open. Lainey does a nice job being patient, throws up a tiny shot fake, she really just looks at the rim, and she gets that second defender to jump up and leave the ground, and then at that point it's just a nice little leading pocket pass for that layup. And another good example of a hard roll to the basket, straight line. We do not want to take a detour getting to the rim on this. Then boom, bam, shot fake, perfect pass, easy layup. That's exactly what we want. This is just a different angle of the same play. You can see for that split second when the first defender is really out of the picture, caught behind the screen, it's essentially a 2-on-1 for a second. So again, reading that one defender, setting up for the easy layup. I like this next play as an example because it shows how patient you can be on the ball screen and that it's not always going to be so immediate and easy of a read. So we see Courtney Williams, the ball handler, obvious two-man game on this left wing over here. So the defender does a good job getting through this initial screen. So we do what is called a rescreen, which is basically just 180 and screen in the opposite direction. Personally, I love a good rescreen because it's patient and it can be super challenging for the defense to get through multiple ball screens. Then we see Courtney Williams with the ball in that familiar, ideal situation where she's drawn two defenders, which means she can set up her teammate on the roll. Which she does again with a nice little pocket pass, and really she could have taken this shot or kicked it out to one of her shooters because you can see there's a lot of defense surrounding her, but either way, being patient, getting a good shot out of the pick and roll. Now this play is a little different because it's sort of something that goes wrong. But when we watch film, just as much as we want to learn from our highlights, we want to learn from what we could have done better or where we went wrong. So in this case, they're not as slow and patient to set up the screen, which as long as you don't deck the girl and get caught for a moving screen, an offensive foul, that's usually okay. We can see they end up in a pretty good position anyway. That initial defender is stuck way behind Sue Bird, and we see that similar situation of what looks like a really quick 2-on-1 with this defender. What could have gone better is the roll. So we see Natasha Howard here. Like the previous plays I just talked about, we want that straight line, hard roll to the basket to take advantage of this opportunity. But in this case, she takes a detour to the rim, which takes a little bit too much time and allows the defense to recover. And it's just a good example of how those little details, like just going in a straight line to the basket hard, can be the difference between an open layup and getting blocked. Alright, last clip here. Just another great example of setting up the screen, using it properly, being enough of a threat to draw two defenders, and then setting up that aggressive roll to the basket. So first, Turner sets a good, solid, perpendicular screen. She actually gives us a good example of how you can move and set a really effective screen without quite getting that offensive foul call. And then Skylar Diggins does a really great job coming off the screen as a threat. She attacks, she gets all the way to the free throw line. And after creating all that space, again, she finds herself surrounded by 2 defenders. And in this case, it's a pretty easy read who's open. So she hits Turner with a pretty easy to finish pass. And oof, if that ain't the smoothest finish to end this video off, then I don't know. Hopefully that was helpful or informative. Drop any questions or comments or anything else you want to learn about or can think to comment about. Go be great.